Close your eyes and imagine the greatest naturally aspirated V12 engine ever installed in a road car. And then imagine Ferrari decided to give that engine a proper gear stick, a clutch pedal, and a metal gate to slot it through. That is not a dream. That is exactly what happened on July 3, 2026. This is the complete breakdown of the Ferrari 12-Cilindri and its extraordinary new Manuale variant. And if you have ever loved a sports car in your life, this video is for you. If this review moved you the way the car itself would, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments, is the Ferrari 12-Cilindri Manuale the greatest sports car event of the decade? Or would you take the standard DCT version and never look back? So when Ferrari revealed the 12-Cilindri Manuale to the world and every sports car enthusiast on the planet simultaneously lost their mind, the Ferrari 12-Cilindri itself is already one of the most celebrated Grand Tourers of the modern era. Unveiled at Miami Beach in May 2024 to mark the 70th anniversary of Ferrari in the American market. And now, just when you thought this car could not possibly get any better, Ferrari has added a manual gearbox. Well, almost. The Manuale By-Wire system is Ferrari's answer to what Koenigsegg did with the CC850, a technological reimagining of the analog experience, and it is limited to just 1,499 units worldwide. Powertrain and performance: 8119 HP, 9,500 RPM, 0 turbos, 0 apologies. The engine that sits beneath the 12-Cilindri's long hood is the 440 unit. The same naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 used in the legendary Ferrari A2L Competizione, and it is, without any qualification whatsoever, one of the greatest internal combustion engines ever bolted into a road car in the history of the automobile. It produces 819 horsepower at 9,250 RPM and 500 lp-foot of torque at 7,250 RPM, and those figures tell only part of the story, because the way this engine builds power from idle to its 9,500 RPM redline is unlike anything a turbocharged, hybridized, or electrified powertrain can replicate at any price. There is no turbo lag, no electric torque fill, no software managing the power delivery, just 12 cylinders, 2 camshafts per bank, and an induction note that rises from a deep baritone burble at low revs to a shrieking operatic crescendo that will make the hair on your arms stand up to the firewall. The standard 12-Cilindri reaches 62 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds. The Manuale, carrying those extra 11 pounds and the additional driver engagement of the by-wire clutch, covers the same sprint in exactly 3.0 seconds flat, a difference so small it exists only on a stopwatch, not in lived experience. Top speed for both variants exceeds 211 miles per hour, making the 12-Cilindri one of the fastest naturally aspirated front-engine Grand Tourers ever produced. Power reaches the rear wheels exclusively. There is no all-wheel drive option, no traction safety net beyond the electronic systems, and the decision to keep this car rear-wheel drive only is the single most important engineering decision Ferrari made, because it gives the 12-Cilindri a driving character that front-biased or all-wheel drive GT cars simply cannot match. The 12-Cilindri Manuale. Why this matters for every sports car fan. The Ferrari 12-Cilindri Manuale is not simply a limited edition with a trick gearbox. It is a philosophical statement from one of the world's oldest and most important sports car manufacturers that the manual transmission experience is worth preserving, worth engineering around, and worth building an entirely new technological system to recreate. For sports car enthusiasts who have watched the industry march steadily away from third pedals toward paddle shift automatics and dual clutch transmissions for over 2 decades, the Manuale is the most significant single product announcement since Porsche confirmed the 911 GT3 would continue with a 6-speed manual option indefinitely. The number 1499, chosen to reference the displacement of Ferrari's very first 512 engine from 1947, is not just a production limit, it is a love letter to the history of the V12 and Maranello, stretching from the Colombo-designed unit and the 125S all the way to the screaming 9,500 RPM masterpiece that sits under this car's hood today. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna described the Manuale as putting together something from the past with eyes on the future. And that phrase is the most precise possible description of what the Manuale By-Wire system actually achieves. It is Ferrari's acknowledgement that the sports car community's attachment to the manual transmission is not nostalgia, it is a genuine and valid preference for a more involving, more emotionally resonant way of interacting with a great car. Exterior design: a V12 Ferrari that earns every line, every single panel, every crease, and every aerodynamic surface on the Ferrari 12-Cilindri exists for a reason, and the reason is almost always physics rather than fashion. The long front hood stretching over that 6.5-liter V12 gives the 12-Cilindri its unmistakable proportion, a long nose, a compact cabin pushed far rearward, and haunches that flare with just enough aggression to communicate that this is not a car for gentle Sunday drives. At the rear, Ferrari has fitted active aerodynamic load-generating flaps that work in two distinct configurations: low drag for straight-line speed and high downforce for cornering load, and the system transitions between them automatically at 60 km/h and above 300 km/h, meaning the car is always wearing exactly the right aerodynamic suit for the situation it finds itself in. The 21-inch wheels, identical diameter front and rear, wear either Michelin Pilot Sports 5 or Goodyear Eagle Phone Supersport tires, depending on specification, and the brakes behind them are enormous 398mm rotors at the front, controlled by a brake-by-wire electronic command system that gives the driver precise, consistent feel under hard repeated braking. The 12-Cilindri Manuale adds its own visual language to this already stunning package. A pinstripe finish on the black mask up front pays homage to the legendary Ferrari 365 GTB4. The same pinstripe motif appears on the moving rear wings, and a laser-etched side badge identifies the car as a Manuale without needing to shout about it. Interior and cockpit, built for the driver, obsessed with the drive. The moment you drop into the Ferrari 12-Cilindri's cabin, the car's intentions are completely clear. Every surface, every control, and every challenge colt re-step forward determination. Every set-minded focus that only a company with Ferrari's racing heritage can deliver without it feeling clinical or cold. The cabin has an almost symmetrical structure with two distinct modules for driver and passenger. Two individual binnacles create a sense of personal space for each occupant, while reinforcing the driver's sense of command over the machine. The upper section features two binnacles dedicated to driver and passenger instrumentation and climate control vents, with a deftly elegant material and color change drawing the eye to the two volumes separated by the body of the dash. They appear almost to float, enhancing the feeling of lightness in a cabin that already feels more like a racing cockpit than a luxury interior. The capacitive steering wheel carries over from Ferrari's latest models, with indented buttons for precise command activation even in the most aggressive driving conditions. Because at 9,250 RPM with the rear end stepping out, you do not want to go hunting for a button. Step inside the 12-Cilindri Manuale, and the transformation is immediate and visceral. Ferrari has redesigned the entire center console around an iconic open metal gear gate, complete with a polished aluminum shift knob and a 3-pedal layout that includes a real clutch pedal operated by Ferrari's revolutionary by-wire system. The lever and gate are not decorative touches borrowed from a classic car museum. They are central to every single gear change, and even the seating position and console geometry have been adjusted to make heel and toe downshifts feel completely natural. The Manuale by-Wire system. The manual transmission, Ferrari said, would never exist for years. Literally years. Ferrari's management insisted publicly and repeatedly that the manual gearbox was dead, that the dual-clutch transmission was faster, more precise, and more in keeping with Ferrari's performance philosophy, and that bringing back a third pedal would be a step backward rather than forward. Then Koenigsegg built the CC850 with a shift-by-wire manual that had no mechanical connection to the gearbox whatsoever, and the automotive world collectively realized that the argument was not really about manuals at all. It was about whether the sensation and engagement of shifting gears yourself could be recreated through modern technology rather than traditional mechanical linkage. Ferrari watched, studied, and then did it better. The Manuale by-Wire system combines the speed and precision of Ferrari's acclaimed 8-speed DCT gearbox with an entirely new architecture. A ball-shaped shift knob sitting inside a slotted gate numbered 1 through 6, a clutch-by-wire pedal that manages the engagement and disengagement of the clutch pack electronically, control panel for drive, neutral, and reverse selection, and software updates to both the gearbox and engine control units that make every ratio change feel tactile, weighted, and genuinely involving. When in automatic mode, the H-pattern gate illuminates in white. Switch to manual operation and the gate glows orange, a Ferrari design touch that is both beautiful and functionally meaningful. Technology and driver interface. 3 screens, 1 purpose. Ferrari has developed an entirely new human-machine interface for the 12-Cilindri AS, a 3-display setup that raises the onboard experience of a V12 Berlinetta to new heights, without ever letting the technology overshadow the mechanical drama happening behind and below you. The primary driver interface is a 15.6-inch driver display, flanked by the main central touchscreen. This is where all of the driving and vehicle dynamics information lives, presented in real time to keep the driver connected to the machine's state at every moment. A central 10.25-inch touchscreen capacitive display handles main vehicle functions and is positioned within reach of both driver and passenger, while a dedicated 8.8-inch passenger display keeps the person in the right seat involved in the driving experience rather than staring at a blank dashboard. The capacitive steering wheel carries Ferrari's latest generation of indented buttons, designed for precise activation even in the most demanding driving conditions, where a traditional raised button risks accidental activation under high cornering loads. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both standard, easily controlled from the central display, a concession to everyday usability that Ferrari has integrated without compromising the driver-focused purity of the cockpit. The active aerodynamic system transitions between low drag and high downforce configurations automatically, with the system invisible in the low drag position as the flaps lie flush with the bodywork, then deploying seamlessly at the appropriate speed thresholds without requiring any driver input.